Oh, hi, everybody. Welcome to the show, Dave Emmons and the Strange Reality Show, where I bring on some interesting and very, I guess, educated people in the area of UFOs, ETs, paranormal, disclosure, also spiritual. That all that I bring in a lot of different things, and I'm also now a member of IMEX, and that's a program that's out of Mexico City and at Dr. Federico Vadell. I'll be working with them and doing some teaching, and I'll send out some information. And also, I have a script I need to read and get that to you. But that's where I'm at. If I'm going to have enough time for that, I was just talking to my guest. Ricky Butterfass is my guest, and he he also is working with Dr. Stephen Greer with the CE5 group and the initiative there, and he does a lot of volunteer work, but he's got a huge background. And on the strange reality, Ricky's been on the show before, Ricky Chris Butterfass, and he's been on the show before, and we've talked and we've had some interesting times. And tonight it's going to be the same. I guess we're going to be talking about current events. We're going to talk about the new, I guess, AI Atlas, whatever is going on with that, and been a lot of changes. Every day you see something different in TikTok and Instagram. Of course, you're going to see all kinds of different things in TikTok and Instagram, and the people are getting a little morbid, I think, on these TikToks and Instagram. They're talking about people dying and wishing people to die. I don't want to get into whoever where it was they're talking about because that's getting into some politics, but it's getting kind of awful. I don't even like to read through the TikToks anymore. I try to keep up with what's going on with NASA and all that other stuff, but and with what's going flying around out there in interstellar space and coming our way. I like finding the updates on that, but you can't even believe the updates that are coming out. Well, Ricky Chris Butterfast, his objective is to become fully awake to the true reality of his existence relative to the universe, and he wants to enlighten people with the very same teachings that he does and investigations. He's working with CE5 and Dr. Greer. We'll talk to him about that. He's worked with the National Press Club 2023 Disclosure Project press conference in June 12th and the screening of the Lost Century June 10th. And I can ask him questions about CE5. And of course, his heart is in the area of enlightening people and disclosing and getting this disclosure going really fast. Uh, he's also been involved. Well, his qualifications: he went to 1966 Ivor C. Ranum High School senior. You're right there in about the same year of me, Ricky.
Yeah,
And you've been awarded the Industrial Arts Research Design Model and Deshervetsky. That's Deshervetsky. Can you say that for me? That's German, isn't it?
the Sheversky.
Deshervetsky. Okay.
I think he's Russian, but he's American.
Okay. Lonocraft. And 1967, private pilot. And let's get down here. We've got a long line of things here. And then he worked with uh, engineering department during the oil embargo, and he worked at UAL, Lockheed, and McDonnell Douglas. Project became unfeasible when the Nixon administration brokered a defense treaty in Saudi Arabia in return for keeping the oil flowing to the U.S. 1977, three-stage fusion electromagnetic ramjet. He worked on that. 1978, he met with CBS Columbia Broadcasting System, corporate lawyers to patent and build an electromagnetic ramjet. So he spent a lot of time working with that. 1978, as a member of the National Space Institute, he first suggested that the solar wind be used for fuel for ramjet propulsion within the solar system. 1985, 1986, he wrote to President Ronald Reagan informing him I might print of the Interstellar ramjet project. And let's see here. 1985 received a personal United Airlines corporate commendation from the chairman Richard J. Ferris for outstanding engineering concepts at electromagnetic ramjet. And 1987, as a member of the Planetary Society, he met with Dr. Carl Sagan. Wow, that's great. PhD in Kona, Hawaii. At his request, he mailed him a copy of the electromagnetic ramjet theory to the office of in Cornell University. In 1990, he joined with Dr. Brian O'Leary, PhD, over the years, and he did much around the world field research with him and other members of the International Association for Science. 1991 international presentation of file theory and design and three-stage fusion electromagnetic ramjet. And we'll find out how that project ended up. In 1992 and to present, joined with Dr. Stephen Greer as a fellow ambassador and field researcher at the Center of the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, CSETI, CSETI, as well as staff member with the Disclosure Project, also as advisor and project manager with Space Energy Access Systems Powered Company. Okay, now he's got a big background in disclosure. Maybe we can open this disclosure up a little bit tonight. His education, 1963-66, his high school, and 1967-71, he got a Bachelor of Science degree, Metropolitan State College, Denver, Colorado, and a major aviation management minor and business management, major in professional pilot, minor in aviation electronics, 1972 Naval Aviation School Command, and let's see, 1974, 95 vice president. You notified them. Of course, you work with the government or you communicated with them. And then also you got into Alpha Eta Rho Sigma Phi International Flying Fraternity, National Space Institute of America, Aeronautical and Astronomical Society, World Future Society, Planetary Society, CSETI liaison to MUFON, Radio Television Talk Shows, International Association for New Science. If that's not enough experience to work on UAPs and disclosure, I don't know what is. Maybe we can find out something. Ricky Butterfass, what are you working on now, and what's on top of your mind about what's going on?
Well, right now I'm doing volunteer work with Dr. Stephen Greer
Mm-hmm.
and the Disclosure Project, and also the CE5 Ambassador Contact global teams. Pretty much that's what I'm doing now. And Dr. Greer, well, and I guess it was 2023, we were at the National Press Club at the at our second National Press Club uh, press briefing uh, news conference, and there we screened our latest movie, which was called The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. And that goes into detail about all the suppressed technology since since Nikola Tesla and since the 1920s. Also that we've had um, anti-gravity operational spacecraft since 1954.
Yes, I believe that. Yeah.
And so, and a lot of sightings of so-called UFOs uh, in the early days were those craft that were being tested and being used. So, well, right now, Dr. Greer is working with the Congressional Investigation Task Force on unidentified anomalous phenomena, and he's been bringing in whistleblowers within the defense contractors and within the military and the unacknowledged special access projects or black ops. So that's pretty much our focus right now. And he's also working on uh, his latest movie called The Ultimate Disclosure. And that's in production right now. So, and it's being crowdfunded, just like all his movies are. All
Mm-hmm.
his movies um, currently are free view or for the general public. Uh, it's probably easier for people who have Amazon Prime. They can go there and see The Lost Century and also Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Contact Has Begun. That was the movie that was done before The Lost Century. And
Mhm.
also there are other movies, Unacknowledged and Serious, and a couple more that he's been involved with.
Mm. The reason why I'm wearing this colorful shirt, Ricky, is because they're saying that summer is over with, and I don't want it to end. Really, I'd like to have the cooler temperatures than 95 and 100, of course.
Yeah,
But 85, the summer weather, that'd be great. But I'm wearing this shirt in protest of summer ending. Ricky, I
well,
wanted to ask you a question about Dr. Greer. I've
right.
been kind of waiting, anticipating him coming out with something really big, but every week or every 2 weeks, he said he's going to offer up a show and he's gonna disclose things. But I've never seen much disclosure from Dr. Greer. Can you tell us what's going on there, Ricky?
Well, it's he's been working pretty much with the with Congress, both in the House Investigation Committee Task Force on UAP, and
Hmm.
also with the Senate Defense Intelligence Committee. So he's working within both houses of Congress, along with the current president, the Trump administration.
Yeah.
So right now, he's currently involved with that and trying to get the new movie out. We hope for it to be released by the end of the year. Uh, Also, he's been involved with the Bugasphere.
Yes, that's
Uh,
a biggie. What is the latest on that Bugasphere? I'm glad you brought that up, Ricky, because they're saying that NASA it laid out some kind of a frequency and it opened up and laid out a frequency that NASA didn't like. It was kind of scary. So they actually told them to shut that project down, the investigation down or something. What is the latest on that, Ricky? What is,
well, there's a lot of rumors and disinformation out there.
Mhm.
Last I heard from Dr. Greer, he's still waiting for the scientific test results from all the tests that they were doing on the Bugasphere. He suggested that some of the people who were involved with the testing, he suggested that they use some Sanskrit chanting in the presence of the Bugasphere, and so that there were some, I think it were a couple women that were involved in that. And the Bugasphere responded to that and it emitted some frequencies that they were able to detect. However, right now, Dr. Greer is still waiting for the reports. And then there's been people that have been out there speculating and rehashing everything, but it really hasn't amounted to much. I can tell you that he is not certain, but he's views that it's probably a artifact from a very advanced civilization,
Mm.
uh, probably extraterrestrial.
How did
And
they, Ricky, how did they know to, I guess, sing to it in Sanskrit? Is there letters on and you know icons or whatever on the Bugasphere that give them the idea that there is Sanskrit there?
well, Dr. Greer is actually a Sanskrit scholar. He taught Sanskrit
Hmm.
at the Maharishi University in Haifa, Israel, back in the 70s before he got his doctorate in as a medical doctor.
Hmm.
So he actually taught that in his 20s. He was teaching there. After he got his, I guess his baccalaureate degree, I guess it was. And then he went into the medical research field and got his MD.
Hmm.
But so he suggested that they try it because, well, Sanskrit is the root language of all the modern day languages. uh, English, German, Italian, Russian, all the languages are pretty much rooted in Sanskrit. And so he has been doing some research within the Vedas, all the Vedic teachings.
Hmm.
And in the Vedas, in the Bhagavad or Bhagavad Gita, it talks about Vimanas, and they were virtually what we would consider ET, well, not ET, but anti-gravity craft in spacecraft. And that was 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, and
And so,
probably even longer from what history is all wrong anyway. I mean,
right,
it's been proven to be wrong, and we don't know history the way it's supposed to be. But Dr. Greer noticed that it was Sanskrit. So, what else has he brought about? What is this thing about frequencies that it's starting to let out? Or is that true? Or is that just misinformation from?
right, that's true. It did. After they did some chanting with it, that the sphere actually responded to it and they were able to measure it. Now, there wasn't any ill effects reported about it, it just responded to the chanting.
Hmm.
And Dr. Greer suggested Sanskrit because he thinks that Sanskrit might have originated off world.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then in antiquity, that extraterrestrials had visited Earth and there were some interactions going on.
Hmm.
And there is a possibility that there are some advanced civilizations that were on Earth that basically disappeared.
Oh,
And,
there, yeah, quite a few, I guess, advanced civilization that disappeared. Even the Mayans, they were talking about them. But this
yeah.
this Bugasphere, how did NASA get involved in it? I heard they're involved in it very deeply and checking it from a distance, or they have representatives there in
Well,
Mexico. Ricky?
I haven't heard about NASA's involvement. What I heard that the testing was going on in the University of Mexico,
Yeah. Mhm.
and that's where pretty much the testing was going on. And then I also heard that MIT came in on it. Maybe NASA might be involved in.
Yeah,
I
I heard
can
that.
only speculate about that, so I'm not going to say anything that I don't really know about. So um, that's pretty much
So
that on the Bugasphere.
the Bugasphere is probably just a drone device or spying on us, right? Type of device, Ricky.
Well, Dr. Greer and I myself are in the opinion that it might be ancient technology, and and then again it could be even extraterrestrial because the universe is a big place, and there have been star systems and planets that have been discovered that are older than a solar system. And so the possibility, and then CSETI and the CE5 initiative, we've made contact with extraterrestrial civilizations on a level 1, 2, all up to 10. The Earth's at a level 0. And Dr. Greer says that to become at a state of technology, but of spiritual development, to be able to travel transdimensionally, that it requires a certain state of consciousness interface on the spiritual level.
Yeah. Uh,
And and
I,
that's pretty much where determines the different levels of being. And we've actually made contact with a level 10 civilization with some light beings. And we've got photographs of these ET beings that have been published or in movies and that sort of thing. But so we believe that this Bugasphere may and others are perhaps thousands of years old, and that they have always been here on the Earth, but maybe because of certain geological or geophysical events happening on the planet, that they become activated and they go around and take a survey, and then they transmit that information back to where uh, they were created from their builders. So that's pretty much the take on it so far.
I
That
want
it,
to get, yeah, I want to get into the CE5. You've been in sessions with CE5 groups, right, Ricky? Have you seen things or done things that this group has, like you said, has seen ET?
well, I've been with Dr. Greer since 1991. I joined his team then. So that's 34 years ago. And I've been on many of his expeditions around the world from the first CE5 ambassadors contact in 1993 in Wickensburg, Arizona, where a mothership came in and drew out the universal given equation in the night sky with a light signal. And that equation was infinity equals one. And we determined that's their modus operandi, their prime directive. And science has proven that everything is entangled together in quantum scalar terms. And Erwin Schrödinger, the father of quantum mechanics, quantum physics, stated that the total number of minds in the universe is one. And I believe that was back in the 1920s, early 30s when he came up with that concept. So, and the extraterrestrials giving us that universal given equation uh, proved that everything is equal to one, infinity equals one. And that's what they drove out into the night sky, the infinity sign, equal sign, and a vertical sign, infinity equals one. So that's how everything in the universe is one, and proves the universal singularity and that we're all entangled together as one. And the proof was that they were there to give that equation.
Now, has any of the group in the CE5 or yourself or even Dr. Greer been taken aboard on a ship or abducted, Ricky?
Well, that we don't call it abductions. Um, Abductions usually refer to being taken against your will. And all the abductions that we have uh, investigated and come across have all been from human sources, from alien reproduction vehicles that have been reverse engineered from extraterrestrial spacecraft that were shot down since 1945 to the present day. And these craft were reverse engineered, and that Dr. Greer actually has a document from the CIA that talks about the value of uh, using UFOs as a control mechanism, a psychodrama. Uh, and for psychological warfare. And so we believe, and Dr. Greer has actually uh, got witness testimony documented and recorded of those involved in the abductions, the guys that pilot the craft, that talk about how some they dress up to look like extraterrestrials, some in were actually had a physical deformation when they were grew up, and that they were used in these abduction scenarios. And part of it was to create a fear-based control drama to take the people's eyes away from what's really going on and to make everything or everybody think there was a threat from outer space so that we would be willing to support well, I guess you would call it a one world government
Hmm.
based on the protection of the earth from the extraterrestrials. But you have to realize that, if some of these civilizations are 1 million to 1 billion years more advanced than Earth technology wise and spiritually wise and consciousness, that if extraterrestrials wanted to take over the planet, they would have done it probably a millennia ago.
Right. They
And
instead they
certainly,
manipulate it. Yeah.
certainly after we detonated the first atomic bombs,
Hmm.
and they could have had no problem with coming in here and taking over the planet if that's their agenda. However, there's no way that there's nothing on Earth that they really want. We've pretty much degraded the environment. It's polluted the environment to a point where the biosphere is ready to collapse. And these beings are all working together. So they're not doing any unilateral uh, kind of contacts or experimentation or agendas
Hmm.
unilaterally because they communicate with thought and their technology interfaces with consciousness and thought. So therefore, there's no covert intent because their technology interfaces with consciousness and they all know what the other ones thinks about them.
Yeah.
So imagine a civilization where everybody knows what you're thinking about when you think it, and conversely, what you think about them. So there's no line going on. There's no real control drama because there's no necessity. And these civilizations have the ability to travel throughout the galaxy, actually throughout the universe, in zero time. They travel at the speed of thought. So they actually get to a point where they can phase shift across the event horizon into the etheric astral, or you'd call it the spirit world, where they're consciousness itself.
Hmm.
Even the molecular structure of the craft breaks down into light, but the only thing that maintains the integrity of the craft is the electromagnetic bubble bottle. Even the computers are integrated with thought. So it's the thought of the beings on board it that maintains the integrity of the craft itself. So once they get to that point where they cross over and get to a tangent point to the event horizon at the 0 point, as Hawking stated that there would be zero time and you'd be forever trapped into a purgatory or a limbo
Hmm.
where there would be no movement at all. You'd be forever trapped throughout eternity. But Dr. Rudy Shield, professor emeritus at the Smithsonian Astrophysics Center at Harvard, showed by examining quasars that Hawking was wrong, that at the 0 point to the event horizon, that one would become omnipresent, meaning that you would be at every point in space and time throughout the universal singularity. And at that point, your ego and your id would be gone. The only thing that would you would be part of the universal mind, the one mind. The only thing that would make you come back into your existence would be you yourself remembering yourself. And then it's where your intent to be is where you would remanifest in space and time. And then it would take a certain coefficient of drag for you to sublime into that local space time, because there would be a time differential from, say, it's traveling from Earth to another planet. And
So yeah, I'm going back to the Sanskrit, Ricky, about they must have invented this language to communicate with us humans because they were telepathic, and so they invented a language so they can communicate with us humans. You think that could have been the reason why they invented a Sanskrit?
well, Sanskrit is it's all about word and form, and it's the tonal quality gets involved with it within consciousness. So if you verbalize the tone and quality within that consciousness, say, for instance, as Dr. Greer always used the example of an apple,
Mhm.
that the word for apple in Sanskrit, and I don't speak Sanskrit, so I can't tell you what it is, that word in the right harmonics could manifest that apple into beingness if you had the conscious intent without a doubt that you could manifest it. And in Christianity, the teachings of Jesus, he was able to change the water into wine, and he was able to feed the multitudes with a few loaves of bread and fishes.
Mhm.
And so you can do that. He's also stated that if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you could tell the mountain to move and the mountain will move. And so that's all within conscious intent. And pretty much that's what the CE5 movement is about, is using conscious intent to, to invite a diplomatic relationship with the extraterrestrials. And
Mhm.
that's what's been done since 1990, in the 90s, or even I think even 89 when Dr. Greer first started this, that a peaceful diplomatic relationship between CSETI, the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and all the extraterrestrial civilization visiting Earth, that peaceful diplomatic relationship is ongoing. And the first Saturday of every month, all the global CE5 teams go out and do the global CE5 ambassador contact event, where the teams go out as citizen ambassadors of Earth, make contact with the extraterrestrials, invite them in to our contact circle, and invite them to join us in the circle. And oftentimes they'll fly in and it'll be documented. And that was documented in the movie Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
Mhm.
Contact has begun. And that was Dr. Greer's, well, it was 2 movies ago. And that's all free view. You can see it on Amazon Prime,
Right.
or you can go to uh, drstevengreer.com, and there's a link to all the movies there.
Yeah. I was thinking when you were talking about this back engineering, our military industrial complex, they probably have back engineered. And do you think they are kind of back engineered in the area of abducting people also, uh, Ricky?
Well, that's what they've been using it for. It's part of a fear-based control drama uh, to maintain the status quo. You know, and the reason being, um, these craft are tapping to the omnipresent zero point energy field. So they're like it's been hinted at by the Bugasphere that it's actually extracting energy from the environment with, and that's what powers it. And that's been sort of being speculated. And when it was first discovered, it weighed about 12 pounds now, or 10 pounds. Now it weighs 26 pounds.
Hmm.
And so it shows that there is a relationship between matter and form. And then again, as Dr. Greer stated, on the certain frequencies that was able to tap into that. So,
Also, I think we're talking about the reason why the ETs don't interfere with us because we have souls, and that's the guideline. They're not supposed to go and mess with our souls because, with our bodies, yeah, they take DNA and things of that nature to see how our flesh suit works out, but
right.
our souls, they can't tamper with. That's a universal or God thing that they can't go any further than our souls. Maybe that's why they don't want to wipe us out right now at this point. But also added on to that, I want to say, are we living in a matrix or a holographic world, Ricky? On top
But
of that soul thing, yeah.
it's probably a holographic universe, and everything can be uh, looked at as multi-dimensional. Are you familiar with a fractal?
Fractal, yeah.
Like the Mandelbrot set and the Juliet set, and actually pi, where it keeps repeating itself. And if you looked at a holograph uh, negative, and the best example is the one of Marilyn Monroe, where there is the holographic negative, and then you project the laser into it, and the image of Marilyn Monroe will be projected. But they found that you could cut a corner of that negative out, and it still had that amount of information to manifest the image of Marilyn Monroe, but on a different um, scale.
Oh, yeah. Size.
So that's pretty much the way the universe operates. Everything is related in quantum scalar terms by entanglement. So everything has an equality back to the infinity equals one equation. And that includes humans, uh, all of all of life on Earth, the rocks, uh, and stars. Everything is related in quantum scale terms, but just at different levels and states of beingness. Now, with us, when we have consciousness, our state of beingness is some people call it a vibration, but I term it as our frequency of oscillation. And more than that, it's our life song, our concerto of being that we vibrate and we oscillate with. And then when we come across other people, it's our state of being, our frequency of oscillation within consciousness and in the molecular structure in the atomic level is what resonates. So some people you can come in contact with and you feel a phased in that you field attraction. It's our morphogenetic field, our auric field, if you will. And
Hmm.
when that comes in together, when it harmonizes and resonates together, then you in parallels, then you have a harmonic bond, a covalent bond, as it were. But then others that you encounter are at a different out of phase frequency from yours, that when your fields come together, your morphogenic fields or your auric fields come together, you feel a push away, a sort of a repulsion. And this is measurable. And pretty much this is what we all have to evolve to physically within consciousness. So it all goes to levels of consciousness in our interface with each other and with the universal singularity. And that determines our level of beingness. As I stated earlier, Earth is at a level zero, but people are becoming more aware. The awareness is the start of beingness. You're not being there yet. You're just aware of the possibility of being. So it's your intent of being that can be that extra push in that harmonic resonant field to get you towards that next level.
Quantum entanglement. Yes, that's a biggie. And that's
Yeah,
where they can have a petri dish of your DNA here, and like say Illinois, and in New York, have a petri dish, and they can do something to that petri dish, maybe touch it with heat or something, and that DNA in New York will feel it and react to it also. That's quantum entanglement. I guess that's what you're talking about there.
right. It and Einstein called it the spooky effect, where actually you can be at two places at once. A photon here uh, can be bilocated to another photon uh, across the universe, and what happens to this affects the other. You see, and that's quantum entanglement.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the spooky effect, is what Einstein talked about, and it's called bilocation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much where we're at when we're doing C5 in the advanced stages. People who are in that state of consciousness, have learned and intend to be at that higher state of beingness, that we can actually resonate at that higher level. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's going to take. That's why the reverse engineered alien reproduction vehicles that the black ops guys, the cabal are flying around in. Well, because their consciousness can't interface with the quantum field once they approach the speed of light and become a plasma and become photons. And then that plasma field is maintained in a quantum uh, magnetic bubble bottle, that it's what that consciousness intent maintains the integrity of a craft. And once you transition and go across the crossing point of light into that sideband harmonic of the local space-time or the etheric astral, where the extraterrestrial crafts crosses over, you become omnipresent, but you're still there in this resonant field in harmony and state of beingness, your concerto of being, that once you come to the universal morphogenic field of consciousness of the total universal mind and the extraterrestrials, you have to harmonize. If you're out of harmony, then your fields are out of phase. And if you're 180 degrees out of phase, you come together, and it's like putting two south poles of a magnet together, and you can't make them connect. They repulse each other. So you get repelled. If your intent is to go out and colonize other star system or other planets to make another Earth like what we've got now, then that's where your state of being is within consciousness. That's your resonant field oscillation is. That's what your harmonic concerto being is. And that becomes repulsive, you see. So you just bounce off. So if your intent is so trapped into the pragmatic earth stereotype, then once you get out into that omnipresent, you get bounced back to where you started from because your consciousness is focused on the earth as it is now.
Yeah, I love your detail, your scientific detail that you've been talking about. Uh, I don't hear that much breaking it down into the scientific parts. Uh, I know people are going to ask me. They say, "Well, why don't you ask him about disclosure? You know, ask Ricky about disclosure." I know Representative Luna and Representative Comer are in charge of this committee. I don't know if you've met him or not, but Representative Luna, has said that she said that these are interdimensional beings that we are seeing and witnessing here on Earth. And she mentioned that in open mic as she was talking about it, and that she said that there will be disclosure. They're going to get to that. Uh, have you met these people, and when is disclosure going to really happen, Ricky?
Well, Dr. Greer has been working with the whole investigation committee and other members of Congress that are involved with the UAP uh, task force committee and other congressional representatives as well. And in the past, I've worked with my representatives as well in the House and the Senate. But they are interdimensional and actually transdimensional. So uh, we are all interdimensional
Yeah,
within consciousness because of entanglement. But it's our state of awareness that determines where we're at. You know, it's our state of beingness that it's not, it's first you become aware. And then after you become aware, then your intent of being to that next space or that next level is what you're working for. And to get there, you have to do it within consciousness. So it's not technology. It's not bigger guns or force at all. It's all consciousness. And the consciousness of the extraterrestrials, their technology interfaces with consciousness. In fact, their spacecraft are sublimed into beingness via their technology from the free atoms in space into the molecular structure. So the ETs within consciousness place the template, the blueprint of their spacecraft or whatever else they want to create, and they put that into the morphogenic field, and their technology takes that thought and consciousness, it brings together the free atoms of space, makes the molecules, they sublime together, and they create a pure form.
fascinating
There's
stuff.
no impurities in the metal or anything, and that's why these things are seamless.
Yeah,
Okay, so, but the thing about it is that it has an artificial intelligence that is imprinted within the molecular structure on the atomic, think of electron cloud field, that the consciousness actually is imprinted within the electron field of every atom within all the molecules. So that's the computer intelligence, the artificial intelligence that is part of the beings that created it. It's an extension of them.
yeah.
So that's where they can interface with it with their consciousness. So it's like, you go out and buy a pair of shoes, you get a pair that fits and you get your broke in just right in there, your shoes, right? So it's the same thing with their spacecraft. It's their spacecraft and they can interface with it within their consciousness. And when a group come together and do that, then they interface on that level too. And then if they're have a harmonic bond that they're phased into each other within consciousness, that their concerto oscillation of beingness comes together and creates a whole philharmonic orchestration, you see. And so that's the intent that we're trying to get to with each other on the earth. And the CE5 initiative is trying to get to that level of interaction in a bond with the extraterrestrials, you
Yeah.
see.
Yes. Can Are the extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, are they holding back disclosure from us because we don't have that consciousness yet? We're still living on this planet wildly. And do they want, you mentioned earlier, a new world order. And is that what the ETs actually want us to be, a one world order? Uh, Ricky?
They don't want us to be uh, anything other than what we have the potential to be. And they want us to be able to harmonize with the whole universal singularity. And if you want to think of it as the singularity as the Godhead or the creator force of the universe, all of consciousness, that's where we have to be in harmony with. You
Right.
understand? So it's our state of beingness and our level of understanding that able for us to go to the next level. So the ETs are really here to help us go to that next level. They're actually here to midwife us to the next birth of our consciousness and state of beingness.
To our audience, could you explain intradimensional and interdimensional to people outside of extraterrestrial or physical, and they're here, right? Is that what I get, that the extraterrestrials are actually physical beings that come here? And interdimensional, what are they the ones that's coming through the portals and things of that nature? And the intradimensional are here on Earth or along with us, I think. Is that somewhat of the explanation? You could probably explain it more in scientific terms, Ricky.
Well, I think the word we're looking for here is not interdimensional, it's transdimensional. That means that you're going across from one to another. So it's state of beingness. So we're at this resonant field and we're at so we're here at this oscillation, this vibration. But the next one up, the harmonic sideband up is it's the next scalar octave. So it's in quantum scalar terms. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do to the next octave. And it's progressive, you see. So from one octave to the next could be considered a dimensional,
Right.
but you're transferring through multi dimensions. So one that's civilization that is at a level 10, that is at a celestial harmonic, that can add or drop a body at will and manufacture their spacecraft by intent without the need for technology, sort of like the Vedic avatars like Buddha and Jesus and Krishna, all those avatars you can manifest material things by not doubting that they couldn't. So that's where we need to look at this, that it's a graduation in quantum scalar terms. So the Earth is at a point now where, because of our awareness and our abilities to communicate and our understanding of the universe, that we're ready to go to that next higher, excuse me, side band harmonic of the local space-time. So we're going up to the next level.
Okay, the last topic I want to get into, Ricky, is it's on everybody's mind right now, and everybody's scared. And I had a show last week with Dr. Bob Gross, and he said that Professor Avi Loeb is just, dramatizing things and making things look like it's an ET so he can write another book. And he talked about his eight other throughout the years, last 15 years, that Dr. Avi Loeb has predicted things and they never come true. So he's minus 0 to 8, prediction. So uh, that's where that's at. But here's the thing that I hear though, and I'm hearing now half of the reports you get on the internet are not true, and we know that. And a lot of people are going misinformation, disinformation, crazy out there. What I'm hearing though, this craft is traveling 150,000 miles an hour, and the size of it has been changing. Like they say it's 8 miles wide, they say it's 12 miles wide, they say it's 22 miles wide, and they can't get that right. And then they're saying that it lets off CO2 gas in its plume, and the plume is much larger than the Earth right now that's following it, the CO2 plume. And there's arsenic in it, and there's nickel in it, but no iron in this plume that it has. It doesn't behave like a comet. It's got its own internal light, apparently, in the front. It's supposed to be lit in front. And they said that the tail doesn't shine like a typical comet. You hear all these details and you say, Machio Kuchio, I get that right, that wrong, the Kukio. He said that, the famous physicist, and he said it, he can't really say for sure, but he thinks it's more like a comet. And a lot of scientists are saying that it's a comet. And I asked you about what Dr. Greer was thinking. And Ricky, could you tell us what you know about this AI 31 Atlas?
Well, what I've read and from the reports and the ones that I've seen, um, it was what 136,000 miles an hour, you say, or something like that.
150,000, they said, and then 130,000. So it changes there too. It also, they said it actually changes in size. I don't know. That's what they're saying. But they have this telescope and they're watching it very close. NASA is, and NASA probably knows a little bit more about it than what they're saying. But even NASA is on the edge of what it's going to do, what its travel direction is, and is it going to hit the Earth? I think that's what they're basically concerned about, that it's a big comet, and will it hit the Earth? It's supposed to go behind the sun before long, in about a month or so. It's supposed to go behind the sun. I don't think we're going to know much about it for another month until we can get a closer look at it. That's
Right.
yeah,
And if it gets too close to the sun, it'll just fly into the sun, and that'll be the end of it.
yeah,
And when it gets closer to the sun, if it is a comet, then usually the sunlight starts to, vaporize the comet, and it starts to gas more, outgassing.
yeah.
Uh, my own take of it is that even at 160 to 180,000 miles per hour, it's really slow. It's a slow go, and it's not extraterrestrial. Extraterrestrial can go transdimensional, transluminal, meaning it can go faster than the speed of light. It goes towards the speed of light, and then it phase shifts and goes transdimensionally into another, if you want to say, a portal or a sideband harmonic. It goes up to that next scalar level in state of
That's
beings.
That's
So,
what they said in New York and New Jersey back in December and in November. They saw that these ships come out of this portal, this light, the plasmoid, and the ships would come out of it. And they have pictures of that and videos. I and that was my first argument when I heard that this was an ET craft. That no, it wouldn't travel total interstellar space to all that time to get here. They would go through portals or wormholes or what you were talking about scientifically. They would use that route and come here, right, Ricky?
uh, yeah, they come directly to the Earth. They wouldn't need to take an orbit around the sun to get here to slow, so that's current NASA technology. That's not even uh, ARV technology. That's, our chemical rocket technology. That's how we would get to, uh, say, the moon or to another planet within the solar system. That they would do like a slingshot around the sun or a planet, and then uh, accelerate or deaccelerate. And
Mhm.
that, I think that's what this astrophysicist is kind of focused on. But uh, myself, I think it's too slow to be that. If it is, uh, I think it's probably either an asteroid or a comet.
Yeah.
And when it gets close enough, they'll be able to
Yeah.
possibly image it. But
Yeah.
unless less that it's part of a scare drama that they want people to be afraid of and go off the deep end on it.
Yeah.
But
Project Bluebeam, the false flag thing.
false flags are for real thing.
Yeah.
But and it could be part of that. But the other possibility is that it might be a derelict um, craft from a previous civilization on Earth.
Yeah. That's what somebody mentioned also, that
It
it's
might be
covered in a crusty layer
it
of
might be a spacecraft that or something that from a previous Earth civilization that you know went astray and got trapped into orbit around the sun.
Mhm.
And it's a pretty big orbit,
Could extraterrestrials though do this just to fool us or trick us? Uh,
Well, why would they want to do that?
yeah, I says,
It does. It's not logical for them to do that. It's more logical for uh, somebody to put that out there to cause us to be afraid. Oh my God, this guy's following Chicken Little. You know, and I think that would probably be more to it. But I have to go with your guest that said it was probably a comet or an asteroid.
yeah, like Amua was also, I guess, some kind of interstellar traveler. We've had three of them now since 2017.
Yeah. Well,
And
they're just able to detect them. It probably's always been there, but with the Webb telescope up there,
mm,
they're able to pick these up. They got all these other telescopes, deep space telescopes, that are able to detect more and more of these sort of things.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
we'll be closing out the show. I guess I usually go about an hour and 10 minutes. And can you tell us, Ricky, what you'll be doing and where they can find you at on the internet, Ricky? Just to let us know how things are going with the CE5 group and what you're going to be doing with them, and where they can find that group on the internet or Facebook. I believe it's on Facebook too. Uh, Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what's going on with you and how they can find you, Ricky.
Well, you can Google my name first of all, and I'm
Oh,
on Facebook, and that's pretty much where I'm there. Uh, I would suggest going to drstevengreer.com, and that's Dr. Greer's website, and then he has everything posted there. And if
right.
you're interested in learning more about CE5, you can get the CE5 Contact app. I think it costs maybe $10 or something like that, and it's a whole training kit, including has video clips of things that we've seen in the field. It has meditations in it. It has our tones and a list of equipment, and it's a step-by-step process how you can do CE5 and form your own team. And
You
thousands of people
there's a
around the planet
yeah,
have been.
there's a membership too that you can join the group. I believe that's kind of expensive from the last I heard.
Well, yeah, that's the ambassador contact group,
Okay.
and uh, it's pretty much a funding mechanism for Dr. Greer's project. And the latest one was talking about earlier is the ultimate disclosure documentary movie, and people can that's been crowdfunding on that, and so you can at certain levels of funding you can get all the way up to a 3 day contact training event with Dr. Greer. He's doing one next month down in at Ricopa Casino on the Indian Reservation outside of Scottsdale in Arizona.
Oh, that'd be neat. Yeah.
And it can do about 500 people. And 500 people can be out there doing CE5 at
Yeah.
the same time. And then we have craft come out, and then the teams, Dr. Greer's core teams there, and it's all being filmed and it's all going on. It's going to be streaming live on the internet. So I think it costs like $99 to do the whole 4 day event on the internet. So you can watch it all streaming live, real time, even do the meditations and watch the field work going on. Or
Mhm.
you can go and if you want, you can pay the extra cash and go out there and do the seminar with him. It's like going to an archaeological dig site with a university professor and his associate professors. It costs money, but you have to pay the tuition and you have to book your space on the airplane and rent a car and the hotel. And it gets to be a little pricey. But for $100 you can do it, or you can just get the app and do it on your own for $10.
Yeah, and it's almost guaranteed that you're going to see something with these CE5 groups. That's what I hear. There's
Yeah,
always,
well, this Saturday is the Global CE5 event. I'll be out here in Colorado with my team, and there are teams all around the world. There are thousands of teams
wow.
almost in it on every continent.
How
And
many how
state.
many are in your team, Ricky?
Well, it varies. Membership is about 250 people, but a lot of them are out of state. But I do it local here. We'll have maybe 6 or 8 of us out in the field, and that's a pretty good team.
Mhm.
Uh, the smallest team you can have is 3, and the reason is that we try to cover one person look at every quadrant in the sky. So that's what that's all about. And if you're interested, I suggest going to Dr. Greer's site, find out about CE5. You can want to spend $10 on the app. You can learn all about it and do it yourself, and even go out with your friends and do it. It's up to you. Or you can buy his books, or if you want to watch the CE5 contact movie, you can watch that too.
Wow.
That's free. So,
Okay. All right. Well, it's been great. You've had a lot of scientific data that really kept coming, the details, and I enjoyed that part of it. I don't get into the science or the that type of thing too much myself. I know some of it, and I can ask questions about it, but being very detailed in this quantum theories and
well,
things.
that's what we're doing. We're doing science. CE5 is a science,
Mhm.
and I teach astrophysics, geophysics, metaphysics, and physics. So the basic understanding of those 4 disciplines is helps you understand exactly what I've been talking about
Yeah, it's
on,
fascinating.
on the scientific level.
It's
Or people that just want to come out and we got moms and soccer moms and pilots and whatever you want to say, that they're all on the team too.
yeah. All righty. Dr. Ricky Chris Butterfass, thank you so much. Look him up on Google
Well,
and
I'm not a doctor, but thanks for the promotion.
oh, I didn't. Did I say doctor? I thought so going into Dr. Greer is what I was going in.
Right, right. Yeah.
Dr. Greer in the CE5 group. I left out what I said, doctor. But no, Ricky Chris Butterfass. But you're very educated and knowledgeable about this topic, and you teach it. So that's good. You just don't have that piece of paper, but you have the knowledge.
Yeah,
Okay.
34 years with Dr. Greer. I guess sums rubbed off on
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. And thank you so much, Ricky Butterfass, for being on the show with Dave Emmons and The Strange Reality. We thank everybody for tuning in and listening to the show, or even watching the show. You do that. You can do both, I guess. But thank you so much, Ricky, for being on the show. And thanks to everybody out there that supports my show, The Strange Reality. Good night.